Hey folks, we are just getting ready for a live broadcast here on FY Society. Cover the White House press briefing, a few other things that we'll be taking care of here, and of course taking your calls. Live. Do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. We are almost ready. We are almost ready to really start the show, even though we are live on YouTube already. Just don't quite have the time. There we go. And I guess I should go ahead and pull this up so that I can see your comments or whatever in the chat as we're going here. A lot going on in the news today that we are going to be talking about. Like a lot going on in the news today. That's kind of goes without saying here. Let's get over here. We are just about ready to get going here, folks. Just about. Not quite, but just about. Let's do a little bit of this. We're going to hope that this goes better than the last live video, which was full of echoes and feedback and all sorts of other nonsense. We wound up just taking the whole thing offline, actually. So, obviously, hopefully this one goes better. Got that muted. Got this going on. All right, I think we are pretty much good to go here. Music in the background, once again, is from J-Funk. We love us some J-Funk. There's no doubt about that. Got this going on. We want to make sure. Oh, let's mute that. That's a good way to get some feedback going. All right, folks. We are expecting the White House press briefing to start any minute here. We'll make sure to bring that to you live because today's going to be an interesting one. Trump is especially unhinged today, it would seem. Ooh, yeah, tweeted this morning on his usual morning toilet tweet session that James Comey is a liar and a slimeball. This is coming from Donald Trump. If that doesn't make you just laugh out loud, I don't know what to tell you. The biggest liar on the planet and the biggest scumbag, most corrupt president probably ever in U.S. history, thinks that James Comey is a lying scumbag. So that's really something else. We are going to go to the press briefing, of course. It's set to start. Well, it's supposed to start already, but it looks like it's been delayed. But we'll make sure we bring that to you whenever we can. Sarah Huckabee Sanders does her best. She really does. You almost feel bad for her until you realize that she's just an awful, awful human being who gets up there and lies through her teeth every single day for a living, with no remorse, apparently. Good Christian, has no problem lying nonstop. That, I think, is endlessly fascinating. She'll probably get some pretty pointed questions today because of Trump's tweets, of course. And then also this morning, or just barely actually, he pardoned Scooter LIbby. If that name sounds familiar to you, you're probably at least 26 years old. Scooter LIbby was Dick Cheney's chief of staff and was convicted of lying to the FBI. He outed a CIA operative, a covert CIA operative named Valerie Plame Wilson. Did this because her husband was Scott Wilson. He was also somebody pretty well known. I don't remember exactly what he did, but the husband didn't like the war in Iraq, and so Scooter LIbby, in retaliation, decided to out his wife as an undercover CIA agent, putting her at pretty tremendous risk, I would say. Not generally something that you want to advertise to everybody who your undercover agents are. So Trump continues to prove he has absolutely no respect for law enforcement. Continues his personal vendetta against the FBI, much like he's kept his personal vendetta against Barack Obama alive and well, even though Obama has now been out of office for, God, what has it been? A year and a few days? God, it feels like 60 years, doesn't it? It feels like 60 goddamn years since Barack Obama was president. I'd like to get him back. I'd like to get him back. That's what I'd like to do. Oh, I see. Let's see if we have an update on this press briefing. It's now saying it's supposed to start in about 10 minutes, a little less than 10 minutes. It's going to be really interesting. This one really, really is. And maybe we'll see if we can get one of my favorite people that I talk politics with to phone in and give us his opinion on things. All right, folks, stick around. We'll be back with you here very, very shortly. And not for recognition, so I need you not to reply. But if the shoe fits, you can give it a try. Hopefully for you the stars are in line. Say who, say what, say what? Say what, say what, say what, say what? Say who though? What? That's that dude, right? The guy that's in that, it was in all those, you know, that's always around, that guy. Everyone's Facebook friend, and no one's car, no CD, nothing.
They call me classy, plastered at the last seat of the bar, pinching ass cheeks, Godspeed to the next drink. On the brink of sinking to a death of uncontrolled motor skills, but fuck it, pass the keys. I'm weak in the knees, been quenching thirst since 11:15. Cause you know some days you just have to day binge, get a hold of friends, try to make some ends, let the toasting begin. A cheers to you, a cheers to me, and by 3 o'clock we start to stagger walk. I blabber off some words to the wise as I wander off. I'm trying to focus the blur in my sight, cause I just might show these people at the bar what I ate tonight. I'm trying to keep that locked.
All right, folks, we are getting Spencer on the line here, one of my favorite people to talk politics with. And so we'll kick things off today.
Howdy.
Spencer, how are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm doing quite well. It seems like it's been an unusually active news day, which says a lot given, like, you know, how crazy it is every goddamn day.
Yeah, no, it's been a day for sure. I mean, you got Comey out running his mouth, and it's just bizarre. It's like the chickens are slowly winding their way home to roost.
It's fascinating.
At the White House.
I literally could not believe when I woke up today and I had the breaking news notification that Trump had called Comey a lying, what was it, slime ball? A lying slime ball?
It's something like that.
Yeah. That means a lot coming from him. I saw a great quote from Dana Milbank on MSNBC earlier. He says, being called untruthful by this president is like being called ugly by a pig.
I saw him say that on MSNBC today. I've been watching it all day. And I watched a lot yesterday. It's just amazing. It's coming from every direction. There's just a lot of weird shit happening.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to want to stop, which, I don't know, if this were like a TV show, that would be really exciting, and you'd be tuning in every week to see what was going on, but the fact that it's real life is just is kind of alarming.
Yeah, no, it's nobody knows what to expect next, you know, but we all just watch with our jaws wide open, you know. It's insane.
Spencer, would you say that Trump is acting innocent right now?
I don't think he ever has. And I think that we knew enough before he was elected to, you know, suggest that he's not, you know, lawful. He doesn't behave lawfully or think in terms of, you know, law and order.
Right.
He thinks in terms of, you know, his own culture. It's just a different culture that he comes from. Obviously, no, I don't think he's acting innocent, and I think it's because he's not innocent, and that's the way I think more than half the country feels.
What about that other half? Like, why, with everything we're seeing with our own eyes, why can't they come around to the realization that, boy, it sure does seem like he's trying to hide something here. Boy, he sure is reacting very irrationally, which makes me think he's probably hiding something.
I don't think they're doing anything new. I mean, the script has flipped on them on a number of issues to where now they are, you know, talking trash on law enforcement institutions, and they never used to do that, Republicans. But they made a deal long before this political reality that we're in now, that they have their own perception of reality that doesn't jive with the mainstream media. And that's why they, you know, rapidly grew the conservative media into what it is now. But it's not new for them to just, I don't know, I guess, maintain cynicism towards what they consider to be mainstream media, and believe what they want to believe, or what they're being instructed to believe by who they consider to be credible. And he's the president of the United States. A lot of people still see that as sort of a, I don't know, like a holy position.
Well, I think it stopped being so
especially
holy.
people of faith. Yeah.
Let that guy who wasn't even born in this country be president. It doesn't mean anything anymore.
Yeah, I don't think much of anything means anything to most voters except for their pet issues, and that's why evangelicals are still so supportive of Donald Trump, and that's just the way it's going to be. I think that you saw that to an extent within the Democratic Party while Barack Obama was president.
Oh, for sure.
We had people critical of Barack Obama and people who just it wasn't in them yet to be critical, because they were just so
enamored,
so pleased,
excited
with the way things were. Yeah.
Well,
and I think that you're seeing the same thing happen in the Republican Party with Donald Trump, even though the situation is very different in a lot of ways.
And it seems more hardcore than anything that ever came around with Obama. Like, it really, really does. As much hatred as was there for him for the Tea Party, from the Tea Party, that now there's just as much love for Donald Trump from the exact same group of people. Emotions run
well, and the vice versa has happened with liberals.
Absolutely.
I mean, when Barack Obama first secured the nomination in 2008, it was hope and change, hope and change. Everybody was on fire. They were really, really excited and happy, except for people who didn't trust Barack Obama. They were really upset and disheartened and defeated. It's just the exact opposite happening, where you have people who want to believe the very best about Donald Trump and people who literally want to believe Donald Trump is like more than he is, worse than he is. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I'm convinced he's the Antichrist.
But I don't think that Donald Trump took nuance out of politics, is all I'm trying to say.
Right. Well, and that's part of the problem too.
Evaporated.
He gets blamed for everything, the current state of politics and everything like that, and certainly he's not helping anything. But this existed way before Donald Trump. I mean, especially throughout the Obama presidency, and I've theorized a lot that it started in '94 with the Republican Revolution, where they kind of decided politics could be extra nasty, and the Clintons played ball with that, and here we are.
Yeah, no, it's you could trace everything back and back and back and back, to longer than I've been alive, in terms of small concessions made by every Congress, by every administration along the way, in terms of how we conduct business, or at least governing ourselves. And now it's big businesses have control over us as to how we govern ourselves. And,
okay, Bernie.
No, it's just a fact. It's just a fact that they have concentrated way more power than the individual or individual groups, issues-based groups around the country. You have these kids standing up to the NRA, but they would not, have been so successful unless a tragedy happened. It took a tragedy to bring that to fruition. Articulate those kids may be, it's just
no one would have listened to them.
Everybody's got to wait for all hell to break loose before they give a shit.
And then we stop giving a shit. We forget immediately.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. We get fatigued, right?
Right. What's interesting to me about like the criticism that Obama got, for example, is there was plenty of legitimate criticism, about Obama, his embrace of the NSA, his droning, the foreign policy, continuation of a lot of Bush policies on that front. But they always talked about like Michelle's school lunches and Obama being a racist and, all this nonsense that you can't even try to begin to have a conversation if that's where you're starting from. And I think a lot of Trump people probably feel the same way about us. that we're just out to get him and we're unreasonable and whatever else. We'll see how the facts bear out on that count. You know, I'm still upset with Obama for a lot of those things.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and I don't know how you start a rationality revolution, but it needs to happen. Because nobody, even people who really have the best intentions, even close friends of ours, even you and I at times, just cannot keep a level head in discussing certain things or certain people. Especially when faced with just completely illogical arguments, we shut down or we blow up or we give up, and it's we all need to take everything more seriously while taking ourselves less seriously. I guess. I don't know, though.
No, that's a good way to put it. I was thinking last night, there was a time in this country where we've always all wanted to be right. When we're having a conversation with somebody, we'd like to be right, but there used to be a time, it seems, where we also wanted to be correct. Now we just want to win. And I don't know exactly when that change occurred, but it's not doing anybody any goddamn favors. That's for sure.
No. Well, and the way that the Trump administration does is it's just so transparent. Right. It's so obvious, and yet you can't talk anybody out of what they think they're seeing. It's so bizarre how perspective, the chasm between the two ideologies and their perspective of every single event, every single remark that comes out of this new political reality we're in. It's nobody trusts. I mean, especially, even on the liberal side, you have just blanket cynicism of everyone. Even conservative Democrats or moderate Democrats. And on the Republican side, I couldn't even imagine what they're thinking at this point. I couldn't. I just imagine that they're all certain that all hell's, still yet to break loose, in terms of the political ramifications for them of this whole deal.
Well, and you'd mentioned the ideological chasm that exists. And I don't really think that's true. I think as far as issues go, if you take the politics out of it and you take the teams out of it, people by and large agree on most things. We're really not that divided in our core, but we completely ignore that. We throw it out the window because our team says this and our side says this and so on and so forth.
Well, that's the thing. In terms of the makeup of the electorate, I believe you're right. In terms of what's being articulated online or just in the political forum, I definitely disagree. I think that it's a vocal minority still basically calling the shots.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right.
That's probably been the case as long as we've been alive. I don't know.
Something else I want to circle back here to is we're talking about the attack on law enforcement and Trump's continued attack on the FBI. And this kind of occurred to me last night. If it were local police departments coming after Trump instead, does anybody think he would react any differently? Or if it was the military coming after him, do you think he'd react any differently? He has no respect for anybody other than himself, and it doesn't matter who it is, he'll throw him under the bus. Put a video up last night talking about how sad it is that, he's convinced his supporters that John McCain's a traitor and a loser, and Robert Mueller's a traitor and a loser, and these are people who have devoted their lives to public service and helping their country. What has Trump done? He's built some hotels, so hey, that's cool. He's filed bankruptcy a few times. That's neat. Slept with some porn stars. On.
I don't know how many of the voters, people who I know personally who vote, really track, the career of someone like that. I don't know. You look at where Donald Trump's come from. He didn't come from a military background or a service background or a humanitarian background or an academic background. He came from a celebrity real estate background, and he's, I can't think of much behavior of his that is in defiance of that, or, is surprising considering that.
Like
but
if he were a used car salesman,
he's the president of the United States. A lot of what he's done is surprising. He's just a president of the United States without any sort of background that any other president has had.
Right. Which could be a good thing. Could be.
Well, in certain ways, it has proved to be a good thing, but ultimately, it seems to me like it's a bad thing.
Right.
And he comes from a part of American culture. His culture, is a part of American culture that we don't like to really be critical of, but that we need to be critical of. Corporate greed. Of course, liberals do like to be critical of that, but
they also like to cash those campaign donations.
We can't seem to agree that it's stifling, our politics and mention every other issue. Any sort of compromise or movement on any issue is being arrested by big money in politics. I don't need to tell you that.
Well, and that's one of those issues, back to the ideology thing, that regardless, I guess I disagree with you a little bit, and that everybody I talk to, conservative or liberal, they all agree that that's like the biggest problem is the money in politics and getting it out of politics. The problem is that people keep voting against that, that ideological principle. They keep voting against their own interests on that front, but they find other ways to excuse it because they got to protect their guns, or they got to end the war, or they, whatever hot political issues going on at that time makes them completely get sidetracked from the underlying, big fucking issue.
Yeah. Well, and party preservation. I talking to my dad about this. He thinks that there's only one route to fix our problem with big money in politics. And it all starts with the whole country talking about it more and more and more, and people marching about it and people organizing around it. Like we've seen people doing on a number of issues in the last couple of years really effectively. But then beyond that, it takes a law being written to force, industries and lobbies to unilaterally disarm according to the rules outlined in that law. And, there's no other way. It's not going to happen naturally. It's not going to happen
or
because
quickly.
Of some newfound compassion, certainly not quickly. Nothing happens quickly except for, scandal, I guess.
Well, and that just lends
that can develop real quick.
Lends to the apathy of people, and the want to just say, screw it all, I have no impact, because like the example last week in Michigan, where Nestle petitioned to keep pumping out their water for pennies on the dollar, and state asked for public comment, and they got 19,000 comments against it because, hey, by the way, Flint is still full of lead and we could maybe use some water. And something like 12 in favor, and of course, we know how that vote went. They got what they wanted. They're the big company.
Yeah,
they're the big cheese.
Well, and there's always two sides to every thing. At least two sides. It seems like I used to be so cynical and just blanket mistrust and cynicism towards any big companies, or big industries. And the bottom line is we have a lot that we owe to American
capitalism,
style capitalism. Exactly.
Sure, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I don't want to discount that, and I don't think liberals should discount that when they're advocating for policies that diminish wealth inequality.
Well, and they're so bad at it too. They're just not good at making that argument. It's so easy to twist those words, like when Obama said you didn't build that.
Yeah.
The point he was making is
Right.
your business wouldn't survive if we didn't have paved roads and if we didn't have an infrastructure system and running water and electricity. And what do you think pays for all of that? But of course, it's
Right.
spun around to he hates businesses. Thank God we have Trump in here now who loves business and will make all decisions based around what's best for corporate interests.
Right. Right.
It's kind of odd.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I don't know, man. I wonder what the Republican utopia looks like. You know,
Syria. It looks like Syria or Pakistan.
Yeah, no, I seriously, what else could it really look like if you're willing to, you know, cut education and then, you know, maintain the desire that, you know, unproductive people need to basically be put in jail, you know, that.
And that we should invest in infrastructure and that we should be ruled by religious law as opposed to man's law. You know,
and I'm not saying all Republicans believe this, but it's sort of the new trend in you know, in the Republican Party. It's the Donald Trump wing of the Republican Party that sort of seems to have that philosophy where I don't see how.
Oh, hold on.
How you get there? I don't. Okay, sure.
Well, let's see. It looks like our press briefing is starting up here. Let's see if we can.
Oh, great. Mm. No luck, huh? How's she look? Oh, that's great. Oh my God. I just don't think she has any trouble sleeping at night because she doesn't have a conscience keeping her up. A conscience. Yeah. That's just the impression I get about, you know, someone who will willfully lie for the president every day. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I can't even see it. I'm outside. No. A lot of misspelling, omitted remarks.
Boy, let me just try one thing here.
So you got this whole deal working, huh? Except for, of course, the briefing.
Except for that audio briefing, yeah. The audio from the briefing, which is really odd. And I think it's just because you're on the phone, but that also doesn't really make sense to me. So I'm going to check one thing real quick. Yep, that is on. Well, what are you going to do? What can you do? I mean, should we keep
it already...
What's that?
It's already 1 then? Or 3 Eastern?
Yeah, we're at 104 Mountain, 304 Eastern.
All right.
Yeah, good. I know, right? Boy, I'm really pissed that we can't hear that, though.
Yeah, this is one of the few times where I really am upset I can't hear the briefing. Usually it's the other way around. Did you watch any of the confirmation hearing yesterday. I watched a good chunk of it. Well, you know,
Justin?
I mean,
Thanks, sir.
he got praise from Republicans and Democrats for being, you know, somewhat level-headed in his capacity as director of the CIA. But, you know, you also got the impression, he also got the distinct memory of all the other confirmation hearings, you know, like how they all just basically rehearsed exactly what they thought these senators wanted to hear, you know, so they could get confirmed, and then God knows what they're going to do with their institution once they get there. But it's not like he just tried to dismantle the CIA, like, you know, so many of the other appointees from Donald Trump, you know, have done with their own agencies. But on the other hand, and it's not like he could do much of a worse job with the State Department than Tillerson did. So, if I were a senator in that room, I'd probably vote to confirm him based on those things. But I have no idea what would come of that vote. Yeah. Yeah. Yep. You'll get it working. You'll figure it out. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it might be because of the phone line being tied up. I have no idea. Maybe it worked. Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't know.
We'll just
Speaking of,
mm-hmm.
Do you know if tonight would be the right night to plan to head down?
Yeah, come on into town.
Probably not. Oh, yeah?
Well, I mean, why not? It's Friday.
Sure. It is. It is indeed. But that's still sort of up in the air.
Yeah, as far as I know.
Yeah. Well, still might. I don't know. I will definitely keep you posted, or you do the same. Feel free to do the same.
Sounds like a plan. I just thought of something really quick.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, feel free to just keep on talking.
Well, I was just gonna say, you know, I don't know what we could possibly be missing out of this briefing. You know, I mean,
just talking about states' rights right now.
Not much going on today. Not much he really has to answer to.
Yeah, I know. That's the most frustrating part about it. It's like, God, there's so much garbage going on. I'd really like to hear what she has to say.
She's probably just reading a chain email or something.
Right. All right, let's see if this does anything for us. I don't think it will, but no. All right. It's worth a try. Worth a try. And let's try one other thing here. Let's try this. Nope. God damn it. All right. Well, Spence, I appreciate you calling in, or me calling you, or whatever. I'm going to try letting you go and see if that lets us have the audio here, and we'll figure this out a little bit better for next time.
Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
I will talk to you in a little bit.
Yeah, I'll give you a call off the live air here shortly.
Yeah. Sounds good. All right. Spencer Reed, signing off.
Signing off, Spencer Reed. Thanks. We'll talk to you.
Later.
Bye-bye.
And
there we
their
go.
continued disaction on this front has been part of the problem. April, disaction on this front has been part of the problem. April.
Sarah, what part does the president bringing Russia into the Syria equation now cause for the delay in the strike timeline?
Again, we are continuing to have ongoing conversations with partners and allies, assess the information, and once a decision is made, we'll let you know. Dave?
Thanks, Sarah. The Justice Department Inspector General came out with his long-awaited report this afternoon on former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, saying that he improperly leaked information about the Clinton Foundation investigation to a reporter, and then lied to James Comey about it and under oath to two FBI investigators. Do you have a reaction to that, and does that, in your mind, validate the decision to fire McCabe?
I haven't seen the full report, but it sounds like two peas in the pod with McCabe and Comey. McCabe was fired in disgrace for misconduct and lying about it. Beyond that, I don't have anything at this point. Francesca.
Thank you, Sarah. You said that that James Comey was a liar, that he's a leaker, that he made false representations or claims. Other than what the president tweeted this morning about lying under oath to Senator Grassley, what exactly has he said that's false or a lie?
Comey claimed reopening the Clinton investigation when he did was based on merit. Now he says it was based because of poll numbers. Comey claimed the president told him to stop investigating Flynn after he previously testified that no one told him to stop investigations. He also, even the media has reported that officials have determined that Comey leaked 4 memos, at least 4 that we know about, with classified information. I think it's very clear that Comey has a credibility problem. The other thing is clear, this is one of the few issues in Washington that both Democrats and Republicans agree on. He's been criticized by the legal community for leaking sensitive information, and organizations promoting good government found Comey's leaking grounds for firing. Multiple Democrats, including some of the biggest leaders in the Democrat Party, have also attacked Comey. Minority Leader Pelosi said Comey was maybe not in the right job. Senator Schumer said he was appalled by what Comey did and did not have confidence in him any longer. Senator Bernie Sanders said Comey acted in an outrageous way. Clinton's running mate, Senator Kaine, said Comey is responsible for the lowest moment in the history of the FBI. Even Congresswoman Maxine Waters said Comey has no credibility. The FBI should be independent and not led by a political hack. Comey's higher loyalty is pretty clear that it's only to himself. If you can get this group of people and others like Mark Meadows and a number of others to agree on something, I think that you'd have to be right.
Sarah,
Jim?
what about the dossier, though? Sarah, what about the dossier? Did he also lie about the dossier and his conversation with President Trump about that?
The dossier is false opposition research that was funded by the Clinton campaign to attack the president. It was used illegally to justify spying on Americans. And I think that's quite the problem. Jim?
Sarah, what about the content of the president's attacks on Jim Comey, your attacks on Jim Comey? Isn't all of that a bit unbecoming of the presidency of this White House to go after him in such a personal way like that?
I think it.
Slime ball and a liar and a leaker.
I think it's unbecoming for the person that is supposed to be the top law enforcement official in the United States, the person that is supposed to protect the people of this country, to lie and leak classified information, certainly to falsify documents. I think that's a very big problem. And somebody who has created this problem for himself. I didn't encourage Jim Comey to go out and do a PR campaign. Congress has asked Jim Comey to come and testify multiple times, of which he's denied being able to do, yet Jim Comey, and he should be the one held responsible.
Hey, Sarah, if I can just follow up. Other folks got 2 questions. If I can just ask a second follow-up question because
it's Friday.
Well, it's Friday, yeah. And you'd probably
get really upset, and I don't need that if I did.
Not at all. No, but you've probably seen this tweet. It was a tweet that you posted before the election in 2016 when you're attacking FBI agents because you're under criminal investigation, you're losing.
Yeah.
What do you make of that now? I mean, Isn't
the
that...
rank and file FBI are some of the greatest people in this country. We've repeated that time and time again, and certainly have the full support of this administration. I think that we've been very clear, though, how we feel about some of the leadership at the FBI, particularly James Comey.
When you go after, Comey and
I did give you two, Jim. I'm going to keep
doesn't that mean you're losing?
Following up on that, I mean, one of the themes of Comey's book is the president's, quote, disdain for the rule of law and his continued efforts to publicly undermine federal law enforcement officials. So how would you characterize the president's attitude towards the rule of law and things that he says publicly about many of his top federal law enforcement officials?
The president has a great deal of respect for the rule of law, but the president does not have a lot of respect for people whose sole job is to carry out the law, and they leak classified information and they lie to the American public about it. Charlie?
It's his own attorney general, it's his own deputy attorney general, it's special counsel, it's the FBI, to judges who make decisions that he doesn't like.
I'm sorry, I'm not. What was the question?
There's a whole list of the sort of federal law enforcement officials that he has undermined. It's not just people who have proven to leak information.
The president hasn't undermined them in any capacity just because he calls out things that he finds to be problematic or concerning. I think that he should do that. If members of the FBI are leaking classified information, the president should absolutely call that to question. You guys spend hours upon hours every single day praising Jim Comey, propping him up, giving him the biggest platform. We shouldn't be praising him. We should be putting him down. We should be taking him off of air instead of giving him minute after minute. This country has a lot of real problems. We should be talking about the economy. We should talk about Syria. We should talk about the drug crisis, but instead we're going to talk about Jim Comey. You guys will cover it endlessly all day today, all day tomorrow, and my guess is every day next week, with very little time given to the issues that people care about. So the president has every right to call out that individual that you guys are propping up and say that there are problems and that we should be concerned about it. Charlie?
Sarah? Thank you, Sarah. This morning, James Comey admitted that he didn't tell the president about the political sources.
I'm sorry, can you speak up?
This morning, James Comey said that he didn't inform the president of the political source of the dossier. Was the president surprised to hear that? Did Director Comey ever tell him about the sourcing of the political dossier against him?
I'm not sure about that specific conversation, but I know that it's been documented many times over now that the dossier is false opposition research funded by the Clinton campaign and used to attack the president. I think.
Question, because it's Friday. Did the president speak to former Vice President Dick Cheney about the Scooter LIbby pardon either before or after?
I'm not aware of any conversations on that front. John?
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. 3 Republican state senators from Missouri wrote the president yesterday saying that the embattled Governor Eric Greitens should resign from office. He has serious charges of sexual abuse against him, faces impeachment, and refuses to resign. They concluded that as a former Navy SEAL, he would salute and resign if his commander-in-chief asked him to. Did the president receive the letter? What is his response? And will he ask Governor Greitens to step down?
I don't have an official response at this time, but certainly something that is very concerning and something that we're taking very seriously, and I'll keep you updated as we have something. Sarah?
Thank you, Sarah. So concerning the summit with Prime Minister Abe next week in Florida, does the president plan to push for a bilateral free trade agreement with Japan?
I'm not going to get ahead of the president's conversations with Prime Minister Abe, but trade will certainly be something that is discussed, as well as the ongoing conversations around North Korea.
Does the president have another NSC meeting today on Syria?
I'm sorry?
Will the president be having another NSC meeting today on Syria?
There is another national security meeting later this afternoon at the deputies level. Aisha?
The pardoning process. It seems like we've had these 3 pardons. They all were somewhat high profile or had gotten media attention. How is the president deciding when to take action on a case? I mean, with Arpaio, he hadn't even been sentenced yet. The Scooter LIbby case was very old. So how are you deciding when to take action on these cases? And can a normal person who feels like they've been unjustly convicted, can they get their case to the White House? I mean, there's a Justice Department process, but it seems like the president is taking special interest in certain cases.
Again, the president has exercised constitutional authority, and he determines when and how he's going to use that when it comes to the pardon process. He looks at each one individually and makes a decision, and we make that announcement. Nadia?
Sarah.
Thanks a lot, Sarah. Who are you calling, Brian?
I was sorry, I was calling on Nadia, and then I'll go to Brian.
All right, thank you, Sarah. The OCPW is sending an inspectors to Syria. Do you think this is a futile exercise since you already have the evidence that actually they have chemical weapons?
Once again, we are confident in the intelligence that we have and in the fact that we know that Syria is responsible for these actions. Take one last question, Brian.
Thanks, Sarah. I'll do two. One on Syria and one on the Department of Justice. On Syria, the president has publicly said that he wants to get out of Syria. Has this strike changed his mind on that? And is he considering other options other than a plan to pull out U.S. forces from Syria? And if you could just answer that.
I'm sorry, what was the last part?
Is he considering other options other than a long-term strategy to get U.S. forces out?
I don't have any additional changes to policy in Syria at this time. And in terms of options, all of our options are on the table, and we're continuing to look at those, and we'll make an announcement then.
And so I have a question about the Department of Justice. What does the president have to say to Republican lawmakers who believe that firing Mueller would be suicide, as Grassley has said, or firing Rosenstein could mean the end of the presidency for Donald Trump, as Lindsey Graham has said?
I'm not going to get into hypothetical situations. The president's taken no action on that front, and I'm not going to get into back and forth on a hypothetical.
Well, that's for Republican lawmakers who are counseling him not to take an action like that?
As with a number of issues, the president talks to a lot of different lawmakers on a number of topics. He's going to continue consulting with them, not just on this, but on some very big issues that our country is facing, and that's what his focus is actually on. Thanks so much, guys. Happy Friday.
All right, well, that was pretty exciting, huh? There's no doubt about that. Glad we finally got the audio working once we had Sarah on screen there. Wish we were able to do it during the phone call, but we are working on that for next time. It should be a fairly easy fix, I'm thinking. Just kind of difficult to come up with while you're live on the air. For those of you questioning the audio, hopefully you're just getting in a little bit late, and the audio for her actual press briefing worked just fine. Let's hope. I'll be sure to watch this afterward to make sure, you know, that things are working like they're supposed to. I think we're going to go ahead and call it good for today, unless anybody out there is just itching to ring in. Ask some questions, make a comment, whatever else you'd like to do. Phone number is 646-736-7663. More than welcome to give us a call. Some of the topics we were discussing earlier with Spencer, just generally today, Trump's apparent war on law enforcement, calling James Comey a slime ball. Boy, we didn't get into some of the things that I wanted to get into though with Spencer, but hey, that's why there's more than one day in the week, eh? I think we'll call it good for today. Still just figuring everything out here, kind of as we go. This one I'm pretty sure went way better than the last one. Pretty sure. We'll find out here shortly. Folks, thanks for watching. This is Matt Hinds with FY Society. Have a good one. Good luck to us all.